Have you ever found yourself looking at a project, a dream, or a much needed hire for your organization, and the very first thing that comes out of your mouth is, "We just don't have the budget for that"? Now, while budgets are real, the mindset of scarcity is often a self fulfilling prophecy. You see, we live in a world where we think funding is a zero sum game, that if someone else gets a grant, there's less for us. But what if the money you need isn't actually scarce? What if it's just sitting in the hands of people who are waiting for a leader like you to invite them to be part of something bigger? That's our focus on this episode. Let's huddle up. Hey, welcome to another episode of Huddle Up with Mark, the Fund Coach. I'm Mark Duncan. Yes, today we're going to be talking about this whole idea of scarcity, and it is a mindset, and it's a mindset that we often create. And we create this mindset because of some inner beliefs that we have as individual leaders, or inner beliefs that the organization has had historically over many years. We tend to adopt that mindset, even if we're new to the organization. And so we look another way to look at this is to think of this as a pauper's mindset, right? How we talk about our nonprofit organizations, we use words like struggling or wearing many hats or every dollar counts, right? Even when we're soliciting for support, we will say things that convey scarcity. And so we need to be mindful of that. But here's the reality. I mean, the more you do this, um, the people out there who have the capacity to give in a significant way or very wealthy may not be interested in supporting your organization because the concern that they may have is whether or not your organization will still be here tomorrow, right? And so shifting the way you talk about your mission, shifting the way you think about your mission is going to make all the difference. You see, if you put messaging out there that says that you are wearing many hats, you're struggling, um, I mean, there's so many other phrases that you can use and that are often used to describe what a nonprofit believes their reality is. And we create our own reality. That's why I say this is a self fulfilling prophecy, because if we think and believe this way, then it's going to be that way. But if we make that shift, then we can start to see things turn around. Now, let me tell you what I mean by that. When I say make that shift, it is about how you think about your organization. But I'm going to encourage you not just to think about the nuts and bolts and the nitty gritty of the day to day of your organization, but I want you to think about why the organization exists. If you're a founder, what problem did you want to solve? You saw something, you identified something that you believe that you could solve if you started an organization and began to do the good work. Or if you are a leader that's come into an organization that, again, is looking to solve a problem, and you're excited about this whole concept, not because of the nitty gritty of the organization, but because of the impact on the people that are served by it. If that's not what's driving you, then you should consider doing something else. Now, I know those of you who listen and watch this podcast are dedicated leaders who care very deeply about the people you serve. But you may also struggle with this scarcity mindset. And when we start looking at things in a very competitive way, even if we're looking at other organizations that are doing similar things, sometimes we'll see this as a competition for funding dollars. But just because a donor supports one organization doesn't mean it won't support yours. Think about that. Because donors, when you connect with them and build a trusting relationship with them and teach them about your mission, tell them what you're doing to solve this problem, tell them what you're doing, show them what you're doing when you're interacting with the people that you serve. And then ultimately invite them to join you to help solve that problem. So don't think of soliciting them or asking them as putting your hand out and asking for them to consider giving anything to support the organization. Be bold. Think about the people that are being served. Imagine those people literally in the room with you, standing behind you as you serve as the conduit between what they need and what the person sitting before you has in terms of capacity that can make their lives so much better. If you made that little shift, that would make all the difference in the world, right? You can do this. And so, as you are thinking about your organization, thinking about what your needs are, you're not asking for money to keep the lights on or to pay your bills. You are soliciting support from people who care deeply about what you're doing and asking them to join you in solving that problem. You see, you have the expertise, you have the staff, you have the idea, you have the program, you have the vehicle that drives success in your organization and has a positive impact on the people being served. And in many cases, you are helping people who so that they can help themselves and then ultimately help others. And this needs to be a part of your story. But if you are going into a relationship with a prospective donor and you're thinking, if I could just get, if they could only give whatever they can, every little bit helps, right? There are those phrases that are indicative of a scarcity mindset. So I'm going to challenge you to be bold. I'm going to challenge you to break this cycle. And I'm going to challenge you, I want you to think about all of the things that your organization can benefit from and how it's going to impact the lives of the people being served. Make a list. 5 things, 10 things. Make a list of your top 10 things that the people you serve can benefit from as it relates to the financial support that you can get. Because I'm telling you right now, as sure as I'm sitting in this chair, donors who have capacity and are philanthropic, right? These are people that want to give, not because they want their name on a wall, not because they want the recognition. You know, that's a benefit. And in many cases, you have donors who don't want to be acknowledged publicly. They just want to be behind the scenes with you, investing in what you do to change the lives of the people that you serve. But if you go into the relationship with a scarcity mindset in the way that you speak, the way that you think, the way that you behave, then what is going to result from that is exactly what you're putting out there. And that is minimal support. Be bold, lean in, build a relationship, think about the people that you serve standing behind you, watching you fight for them. And I don't mean fight in the sense that you're fighting their battles, but you're standing firm and bold, and you are looking someone in the eye who you've built a trusting relationship, who understands you as a leader, who understands what you do and how you do it for the people that you serve. You've got a team that is doing great work, and that team should be compensated well for that. And that can also be part of the story that you tell. You look that donor in the eye and you ask them for a gift that you know the people standing behind you deserve. It's a different way of thinking, it's a different way of looking at this. That's what matters. You are a conduit. You are a conduit. You are the person that can make it happen. And so if you're thinking and you're an executive director and you're listening to me and you're thinking, oh my gosh, how do I do this? How do I, you know, conjure up the nerve? Well, there are a lot of things that you can do, and there's a lot of ways that I can help you do that. But you're just sitting and listening to me here today. I want you to think about those people that you serve. I want you to think about what they get, whether you're serving children, you're serving families, you're serving whole communities, you're serving a particular population, whatever that may be. You are the person that's driving the mission, and you have the responsibility, and it should be felt and seen as a great responsibility, one that you are honored to have, so that you can lean in, build those relationships, make the case, make the ask, close the deal, and secure those gifts that are going to take your organization to the next level. Because you're not striving for status quo. Ultimately, you're striving to eliminate a problem. Now, some organizations, by and large, are not necessarily eliminating a problem to the point where they're working themselves out of business. But quite frankly, right? I mean, there's higher education, there are hospitals. You're always going to need those things. But if you're looking to solve a problem, your goal should be to solve a problem and shut the thing down. And you only do that by securing the resources that you need, surrounding yourself with people who are going to lean in and do the work and have that profound impact on the people that you serve, so that you're changing lives. So I'm going to give you an assignment, 24-hour assignment. I want you to write down the biggest, boldest goal that your nonprofit has for this year. What is that? And it doesn't need to be something that is in your strategic plan, right? Because sometimes strategic plans tend to be limited, or even budgets tend to be limited by how we feel about the organization. So if we have a scarcity mindset, I guarantee you your budget is reflecting that scarcity mindset. So I want you to set that aside. And I want you to write down the biggest, boldest goal that your organization has this year. Write it down, and write down the real reason why you haven't pursued it. And if it's money, you're definitely caught in this trap. Your mission is to find the one donor who cares enough to bridge that gap. And that donor's out there. That donor's right under your nose. All you have to do is the work. If you're not wealth screening, you should be wealth screening your donors. You're going to find people who are already supporting you, who can give big. And if you're going to ask, well, why aren't they giving big if they have the means to do that? It's because what they're doing right now is very transactional. You have to step in to make it relational. That is the objective, to convert transactional givers into relational donors who make transformational gifts. And it only happens when you build a relationship. So do that assignment. I'd love to know whether it's in the comments or you send me an email. What is that? What is that big, bold goal that you haven't accomplished? What's it going to take to do that? Let's get you out of that trap. Many of you are in it. But if you start thinking and believing about your organization in a way that is endless in terms of the possibilities, everything changes. I hope this has been helpful to you. As always, this fundraising thing, it's not about the dollars. It's about what the dollars do for the people that you serve. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And we'll see you next time.